Welcome to the freewheeling cavalcade of circular motion, thus defined by the octagon table of double-wide mental introspection and dedicated utilitarian outward thinking in defense of zero content. Translation: we ain't got nothing.
Speaking of nothing, I need to find the off switch. That was it. Anyway, hey folks, Dude here, coming to you again, an iteration of Dude After Dark. Hopefully this wasn't too strange and usual interlude getting into things. Anyway, looking at stuff as it has been an extremely interesting news day, shall we say. Yeah, I think I know where Sound Guy's going with that one. California right now is beyond absolutely full, completely to the hilt they're in of screaming memeite, huge stinking hairy piles of, yeah, stinking hairy piles of liberal S-hit bag. Anyway, so looking at the stuff going on there, I got a bunch of news stories to get into, but I have got some amazing factoids that seem to have come to, the fermentation of, oh hell, we're not quite as stupid as we think we could have been. Oh, my stars and garters, the Washington Post finally realized maybe they're not quite as particularly stupid as they ever possibly could be, but oh wow, they really truly have done something truly amazing. They found the reality they're in of reality. Holy crap. And that's really all I can say about that one is just holy crap. Man, oh man. So anyway, looking at a breaking news story on these guys. This story comes in at May 31, just this year. But the Washington Post. I cannot do this justice, folks. These guys, unbelievably obtuse, and that's putting it nicely. They are just, just not there. Okay. Wow. Okay, so anyway, this news story coming in May 31, mysterious drop in fentanyl seizure on the U.S.-Mexico border. Maybe could it be because Trump had put in place a serious lockdown on the southern border to say, you're not bringing this crap in country anymore, you're not sending the guys across the line anymore, and oh yeah, if you try this, we're going to bust your asses. Yeah, and then it gets deeper, folks. Give me 1 second here. I got tea juice, and it's staring at me. Anyway, I cannot begin to tell you how unbelievably obtuse the Washington Post guys really, truly are. So, the southern border shuts down. Mysterious drop in fentanyl seizures on the U.S.-Mexico border. The rest of the story goes in play as matters such as this. The reasons behind the decrease in fentanyl seizures in the U.S. along the U.S.-Mexico border are complex. I hang on a second. I got this one. I got this one, Sound Guy. I got this. I really got this one. Just.
Not the mama. Not the mama. Not the mama. Not the mama.
Yeah, you guys, unbelievably obtuse, complex. No, it's not complex, okay? Oh, we shouldn't try to cross the border because, oh yeah, we're looking at a bunch of military forces. The Border Patrol has pumped up their enforcement options, and oh yeah, they're kicking the guys out of country who snuck in under the wire. Maybe that might have something to do with it. I don't know. I don't know. You know, is it just me or things completely bonkers and off the wall? Don't know. However, that's the way, shape, and form in which we find ourselves. And oh my stars and garters, unbelievably obtuse guys at the Washington Post. You would think since I think Bezos bought them, he would have said, "Hey guys, you were actually trying to make a couple bucks here. Maybe we should just simply do things and maybe make some money. Okay, let's just see it for what it's worth. Let's maybe make this thing profitable." I don't know. I mean, right now, who really buys a newspaper any longer? I mean, it's kind of passe. Most people simply get their news sourcing from online, and they go, "Oh, yeah, let's see what's going on the internet." Beep, beep, boop, boop, beep, pop, pop, bink. And they find out everything they need to do using their devices. Why? It's just how things are in the modern world, okay? Sorry. That's just how stuff is. Sorry, Washington Post. You're still trying to do things the way that you guys have always done things, fomenting, and doing those things old school, old methodology, ways that just don't work any longer. I'm sorry. They just don't do it. You know, the whole way of, oh yeah, we're the only news source and you guys have to rely on us for every nuance, minuscule item of daily happenstance. And no, that's not how the world works any flipping longer. Washington Post and other leftist news agencies. Sorry, that's not how things go. Sorry. So way, shape, and form. Hopefully things are working out good on you, and I'm gonna hopefully have things guys working out okay for me. Anyway, let me do a quick check here. Let me do something. I just want to make sure that I have audio on the other side of the aisle here, as it were. Hang on a second here. I'm just checking real fast. Yep. Okay. You guys hear me, so I can mute that back out. See, the problem is it's something referred to in the business as latency. So essentially, it's like that classic device where you talk and then you hear yourself like about a half a second out of concordance with your speaking process, and it really throws you off. I mean, it's one of those things where if you hear yourself speak and there's an echo about a half second behind you, you're then going, it gets really, really disconcerting. So literally, I do something here, real time, goes through my second camera phone here. I know I'm working on the process, folks. Goes through my camera phone, obviously goes to the internet, gets posted up on YouTube, real time, but there is a delay. Like, say I go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like 5 seconds afterwards does it then reflect with the YouTube live broadcast as being, hey, this is what dude's doing. There's actually a 5-second latency. So I do something and it's 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005. Finally it reflects over on the view screen that I'm seeing over on the YouTube side of things. So anyway, the only reason why I do that actually is for the chat room. Now, using the phone, there is like a little block that pops up, in the bottom, and it's basically just like, kind of almost like subtitles of like what people are saying in the chat room. That's all fine and well and good, but it's kind of bitty, all right? I'd rather look over to a laptop screen and see what's really going on. All right, so getting back to the nuances of the news. Oh, man, this whole pissing match between Donald Trump and Elon Musk. I think you know what it is. I think what it is these guys are actually playing the screaming memeites against themselves. I'm thinking these guys really truly don't have a war of words, and it really truly is just a case of they're really just like trying to drum up the screaming memeites. They can go, oh yeah, at least these guys are fighting now. Yeah, we can really get some interaction going in play now, and we can really stir things up, and we can undo all the process that Trump is doing in his second term. I don't know if it's real. I don't know if I believe it, but it is keeping the news very interesting right now with the whole he said, she said, back and forth, piss. It really truly doesn't hold any merit, means, or any methodology therein, in my personal opinion. I think it's really just a major distraction. So truly, Trump is just kind of like, all right, I got bigger things to do. I got bigger fish to fry. Sorry, dude, I can't play with you now. I have stuff to do. So that's literally, I think what's going on there is Trump is now pivoted and said, I can't do these things. So anyway, looking at news as it were, I think it's absolutely correct, though, for Musk to be calling out the resident screaming swamp creatures in Washington, D.C. to say not codifying the stuff in Doge savings and making them, the spending worse by increasing, our ceiling and all the rest of the stupid fodder all these guys are throwing in play. It's not good precedence. It's really not good for the country. And the cuts that I put in place, you're not even trying to enforce. You're not trying to codify and make them into law. You're just simply saying, wow, that was nice. Thanks for saving us all this money. Now we got more money to piss down a rat hole. Just give me 1 second here, folks. This is looking at me and it's so hot. So, by extension, I'm thinking Trump really is kind of just pissing Musk off. And Musk is like, ugh, dude, I worked my ass off. Basically, watched my company get screwed. Watched my stock options go down. Really, truly didn't get anything out of it, but more frustration than I ever want to shake a stick at. Worse than any female I've ever dealt with. Why did I even enter into this enterprise if you're asking me to fix these things and you don't keep them as permanent fixes? The mark of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting new results. And Musk is not stupid. So he's bailing out on that one. Let's see. Scrolly. So supposedly Trump is now pissed off actually about, senators, and he supposedly is pissed off at Rand Paul because Rand Paul is rejecting to the debt ceiling hike in the one big beautiful bill. Okay, well, if you know anything about, Rand Paul is the son of, the other major Paul who's no longer in, public service, but very strong libertarian leanings. Now, the thing is also, the big beautiful bill, if it doesn't go into play, it really holds up a lot of other things that Trump is trying to get done, and it could make his second term in office really kind of like, screech to a screaming halt for all the financial stuff he's trying to fix, all the truly, not grandstanding, but just, grand visions he sees for the country. And if the big beautiful bill doesn't really proceed, well, that's going to really screw him in the process of trying to do anything further to make his things work out in the long term. He's only got 4 years to do it. Truthfully, you've only got 2 years to make the biggest stuff, because then it's the midterms, and who knows if some magical thing occurs when the Democrats suddenly start looking great to everybody and not like the social pariahs of which they're now certainly tending towards. Remains to be seen. So Trump is now pissed off at Rand Paul because, he's on that very, 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 very slim margin to actually get the bill to further itself along. And he really can't afford to lose a lot of people on the Republican side. It's pretty, if not razor thin, it's really, really tight. Scrolly. This I find hilarious, though, but supposedly everything they said was going to be completely screwing the economy, ruining the country, and make everything go completely wrong. Trump did absolutely everything 180 out of the experts' recommendations, and, oh yeah, things are starting to do better. So listening and doing everything they said was going to make us fail will actually make things better? Yeah, well, stop listening to the experts. Mrs. Dude is home and Remy is losing his mind. Just give me 2 seconds. He always does this when she gets home. It's like his high point of the day. It's not when I get home, but when she gets home. Oh, man. So anyway, doing things completely 180 out of the experts' recommendations make things do better in the country, economically, and sociologically. Isn't that just a shocking thing? We've been listening to the experts for too long, and things have gone in, major decline. So maybe these experts aren't exactly experts, but maybe they're guys behind the scenes who are maybe enriching themselves by saying decry and bemoan and screw all these things over so I can make money on the backside of things. That might be exactly how stuff is actually really working. Novice members of Congress, Senate who've enriched themselves all while making $170,000 a year now, worth hundreds of millions. Nancy Pelosi comes to mind. Yeah, she's not that smart. I'm sorry. She's got insider information. This one, I cannot begin to tell you how cool this is. Maybe on a personal aspect. I don't know if I'd really want to own one, but I have used them before. I'm speaking about the wonderful creation, the absolutely amazing piece of engineering posited upon the culture at large by John Garand of the French-Canadian extraction of which he was. He introduced to the world and introduced, which has been referred to as possibly the best military implement ever fielded by any nation's army. We're talking about the M1 Garand rifle, a 30-06 semi-automatic 8-shot rifle that, unbelievably enough, is just way more than the sum of its parts. Now, I own an M14, or the generation of rifle that was based pretty much on the Garand and came down later. And of course, things have improved in the process therein. The 30-06 cartridge is 63 millimeters long. So basically, not a huge cartridge, but it's a longer cartridge. And that was simply a case of the cartridge propellants that were available in World War II weren't quite as energy dense as the stuff that came later. Now, the cartridge that came from that and became chambered in the M14, and obviously the M60, and it's now the NATO standard cartridge, is the 7.62, or bullet diameter of 30 caliber, with a cartridge length of 51 millimeters versus 63 millimeters. So it's 12 millimeters less in length, but it has roughly about the same power potential as the 30-06 in the M14. Now, other things, obviously, different between the two. The M14 has a detachable box magazine. The Garand has a steel clip that you load 8 cartridges in, and then from the top of the rifle, you slap it in there. The bolt goes forward, fires, 8 shots, kicks out the clip. It's that characteristic ba-ting that everybody's heard in the movies. So anyway, the other major difference, of course, is cartridge efficiency got better. M14 has a smaller cartridge using roughly the same bullet and ballistics as the 30-06 cartridge, which was in the M1 Garand. Now, I've shot both these rifles side by side. Even though the 30-06 is supposedly, air quotes, more cartridge and has a little bit more energy, air quotes, I swear the Garand kicks less than the M14. And I've literally shot the two side by side. I swear the Garand kicks less. So you're talking about, people in World War II, they weren't the biggest guys. I mean, you walk around like a World War II vessel, literally walked around like the Intrepid, and that's a World War II carrier. Things are tight in there, and I'm not that tall. I mean, I'm 5'9", but I'm not small. I mean, I'm 240. So little guys in combat zones carrying basically a 9-pound, a 9-pound rifle that kicks really, really softly. We're really, really effective guys in combat. That said, that they're now producing new, and I do mean absolutely brand damn new, not like made from surplus parts and, not slapped together with like stuff that's 70 or 80 years old, or even closer to 90 years old now, but actually new production M1 Garands being sponsored by the Department of Civilian Marksmanship is now being offered for sale for $1,900 with $40 in shipping. Contact the CMP and you can get yourself a brand damn new M1 Garand. Now that's kind of cool. So they're being produced by Heritage Arms USA in Alabama. So it's got no relation to Heritage Manufacturing, which makes 22 revolvers. So it's basically similar name, different company. But you can buy yourself a brand damn new M1 Garand. Now, the thing that's kind of hilarious is those 8-shot, they call them end blocks, and they're literally like a stainless steel. They're literally a sheet metal clip that you stuff 8 rounds into, and it basically kind of has 2 rows of 4, and that just gets slapped into the gun. Those are still being found in barrels packed in cosmoline grease that they produced for World War II that have never been used. Wow. And there's still people running around with, those clips being reloaded many multiple times, and they still work just fine. So it's not like the end block is really like a bad design. It's just the only problem is it's only an 8-round magazine. Well, if you got 8 rounds and you're slow firing against a German who's got a Mauser bolt gun with only 5 rounds, potentially you got a slight edge in not just firepower, but you have a slight edge in ammo capacity, and you potentially could outshoot the Fritz that's trying to get you. Put the Fritz on the Fritz. Scrolly. I find this like really truly annoying. Supposedly, Representative Tim Burchett has announced the House is finally officially moving forward on voting on several Doge bills. Quote, "Will allow us to vote on several of the Doge bills. Finally, folks, I guess we kind of put the fire to some people's feet." Okay, here's the thing. Vote on several of the Doge bills. No, a-hole. We said reduce the F-chucking budget and stop the graft. All of it. Not some of it. All of it. Disgusting. I was kind of banging on the Doge thing for a couple of hits. This one, of course, being really, really good news. Just give me 1 second here. The whole legal attempt to bankrupt gun companies by either domestic or foreign entities might not be working so good. Just give me 1 second here. Mexico, the only thing I got to say to you guys is chinga su madre, pinche pendejo mejos. Yeah. You lost. No more suing gun makers in the U.S. for fun and profits. The Supreme Court blocks Mexico's lawsuit against major U.S. gun makers and win for the firearms industry. This story coming in from... Hang on a second, it's a long read. Coming in from... Oh, no wonder it's a long read. Coming in from CBS, so they're really not happy about it. Supreme Court on Thursday blocked the Mexican government's lawsuit against U.S. gun manufacturers, delivering a win for the firearms industry in a test of federal law that shields them from civil suits. Okay, Mexico. Excuse me, cat being obnoxious. Mexico, if you're going to play these games and you just start suing people for gun manufacturers, maybe you should just give up all the guns that were made in the United States and ship them back. Excuse me, folks. It's got like a nose thing going on. It's like high hay fever season. Anyway, so if you're so annoyed with the case against Smith and Wesson, and you really truly want to basically try to bone them, why don't you just send all their guns back? Okay, no more sales of Smith and Wesson arms to Mexico. No more sales of any other gun manufacturers made items to being shipped down to Mexico. Why don't you guys just ship them all back, okay? We'll put them to good use. You can stop the bad guys from having, too many American guns by simply shipping them back to the United States, and it would fix everybody's problems. Then if everybody sneaks them down, here's the easy way to handle it, Mexico. If you bust a bad guy with an American firearm, you just take them out back and you use the American firearm, and then you ship the American firearm back to the United States after you've used it on the bad guy. Problem solved. Scrolly. This one I truly found unbelievably humorous. This is right off the mark. One of these kind of humorous stories. So supposedly a bunch of Mexican illegals had a truck and they were trying to jump the border, trying to make the amazing entry into the United States. They failed. Well, here's the thing: is Mexicans, I'm sorry, you're not like Cubans. You can't make a truck drive 90 miles in open ocean. No. U.S. Border Patrol posted this story up. Laredo North agents observed multiple illegal aliens load into a truck after crossing the Rio Grande. That's a river, folks. As the agents responded to the area and attempted to stop the truck, it fled, and a pursuit ensued. In the attempt to flee, the driver drove the truck into the river, and 13 subjects swam back to Mexico. Guys, no, you're not Cubans, okay? You can't make a truck drive from, Cuba to the United States. Hell, you can't even drive across the Rio Grande. You failed miserably, okay? Enjoy your swim back to Mexico. Don't do that again. Wow. Scrolly. This is kind of one of those Aussie stories, and being somebody that's been on numerous cruise ships, as of this point, I've been on 5 cruise ships. Let's see, do I have my latest? Yes, actually, I do. Yep, I actually got the card from the last cruise I took, which was an MSC cruise leaving out of Brooklyn. Went to their island, went to Nassau, came back to Brooklyn after going, stopping also in Port Canaveral, Florida. So the Aussies now have a slight problem with the cruise economy down there. It's because they're making things really hard on their guys. Hang on a second here. I got to do the anti-paywall thing. I really hate when these guys pull this crap. Hang on a second here. Let me get out of this. Go over here. Try that one. Nope, it's doing the paywall thing. Okay, so give me 1 second here. There is a good website I found called removepaywall.com. And so if you have one of these, got to have a subscription to read our stuff. No, there's ways around, okay? So anyway, this one's coming in from theage.com.au. So it's an Australian website. Major cruise operators' decision to quit berthing 2 of its premier cruise lines in Melbourne this year are expected to set an estimated blow of $37.6 million in Victoria's economy. Victoria is one of the provinces, kind of like, the Canadian things. As more than 100 ships bypass the city over the next 4 years. Oops. New analysis reveals Victoria's cruise economy has gone in reverse after Carnival's Melbourne boycott, which ostensibly triggered by the Allen government November 2023 decision to hike berthing rates by 15%. Translation: if you make it too expensive, they're just not going to go there. It's not worth their time. Carnival's luxury cruise ship brands Cunard and Princess ceased home porting in Melbourne at the beginning of this year, with Cunard exiting Australian ports entirely, while Princess now berths in Sydney or Brisbane. Notice I did say that correctly. Cunard and Princess were major features of Melbourne cruise ship schedule before their exit and berthing in the Port Melbourne Station Pier a total of 25 times in 2024. Their exit will reduce the total number of cruise ship berths in Melbourne by about 113 visits between 2025 and 2028, according to new analysis by the Parliamentary Budget Office commissioned by the state opposition. So I think this guy was actually like kind of like their governor of that province, and he got greedy. He got really, really greedy. So the levies termed a site occupation charge. Why do they always use these presumptuous terms for these things? A site occupation charge raised on January 1, 2024 from $28.50 per passenger for the first 24 hours and from $119 to $137 per hour beyond 24 hours. So it gets really bloody damn expensive to even park the boat there. So you start thinking like, okay, like $28.50 per passenger, okay? Let's just say a big boat goes there. So like 4,000 people, okay? Let's just be really, really presumptuous here. 4,000 people times $28.50 equals. That's an extra $114,000 Australian, or roughly about $84,000 American, roughly. I forget what the exact exchange rate is, but that's pretty close. It's like 75-78% of an American dollar right now. So they're looking at damn close to like $90,000 more per time that they park there. Well, if you know anything about a cruise ship, they don't make their money with the fares. They make their money by getting the people on the boat and people just spending like crazy and booking all the shore excursions through the cruise line and all that stuff like that there. All the gambling on board, obviously the drinking. Dining at the better restaurants, all that falderall earns them more money. So I actually did the math. Say you basically got a standard sized cruise ship, costs $1 million a day to operate, okay? Let's just be charitable here. $1 million a day to operate. The fares that they paid $600,000, maybe. The $400,000 they got to make up is obviously by onboard purchases, excursions, gambling, drinking, all the rest of that falderall. They're counting on the people that piss a lot of money down a rat hole. If you get on board and you basically just ride the boat and you really don't do anything else, yes, there is some additional charges, but it's not going to be anywhere close to making them a ton of money. It's basically not even break even. Just give me 1 second here. If you do nothing but get on board and eat at the buffet all the time and eat it like, your inclusive stuff all the time, they're really not making any money on you. They're really not. So let's see. Scroll. So the government had increased support fees to help pay for maintenance of Station Pier, which is almost 100 years old, but the PBO analysis suggests the revenue-raising initiative has backfired. You think? Projected drop in visitation to Station Pier in the next 4 years will cut the state government's tax intake from cruise ships by about $9.8 million between 2025 and 2028. This decline will deliver an even bigger hit on Melbourne's tourism sector, which is about $27.8 million and will be lost by about 138,200 fewer cruise passengers visiting the city, the analysis says. So do the math. They're down like almost $40 million Australian, so basically, what is that, like 32 million American? Yeah, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. And you did it to yourselves by being greedy. Oh no, we're trying to pay for the pier. The pier's gotta be fixed. Not like that, it won't. No, because you just chased off everybody. Scroll. Got a bunch of memes. Scroll. I don't know if you guys saw this one or not. This is absolutely bloody hilarious. So, an Indiana teacher by the name of Tanya, it's with a J, Tanya Lukin, wore an 8647 t-shirt, which is bad enough. She's a teacher in Indiana. But where did she wear the t-shirt? And she's gleaming like, I pulled one over on them, standing in front of the White House. Now, that's bad enough. Well, she did it during a school trip to D.C. in charge, call it what you will, leading around the small-minded individuals who are trying to be big-minded individuals under her care. Well, needless to say, she got outed by the libs of TikTok, and she did resign. Probably before they said on no uncertain terms, you. Yeah, thanks, Sound Guy. We're being a little quiet on Sound Guy's part today. I think he's a little hungover. Sound Guy, are you still hungover? Yeah, he's still hungover. I think he went out and tied on more than a little bit of,
Fatality.
You did it to yourself, man. You drink like that. That's your problem, okay? Yeah. Sorry, they're not going to fix that one. You got it, okay?
Relax, don't do it.
Yeah, exactly. Relax. Don't do it. Anyway, so she's basically lined herself up on, now job hunting. So she made herself a spectacle trying to assign the 8647 PS to the White House visit. You got to protect kids from people like that. You just have to. You can't be political doing a job as a teacher. You're intended to teach kids about stuff, not your opinions. That's not your job. Sorry. I cannot begin to tell you just how funny I think this is with this whole Kilmar Abrego Garcia thing. Well, if they simply kept their mouths shut about the guy, it probably wouldn't have been that big a deal. However, they kept going on and on about like, wow, he's this, he's that. Now, he's really, truly needing to be brought back to the United States because they kicked him out unceremoniously. He needs to be given his moment of, I guess, justice. I guess you would say it is. Anyway, so the way, shape, and form which we find ourselves here, these guys are now going on and on and on about like, oh yeah, well, you were so nice to him, and you were so unnice to him that he needs to get a break, and he needs to be brought back. Slight problem. He is going to be coming back to the United States, because, obviously they sent him down to El Salvador, and he shouldn't have been sent to El Salvador, even though he's from El Salvador. Excuse me 1 second here. So they kicked him down to El Salvador and said, oh, that's unworthy. He needs to come back to the United States. What you did to him was just a beyond the pale. He really, truly was unceremoniously sent to the wrong place. Okay, we'll bring him back. So they're bringing him back. They really should have kept their mouths shut. So they're bringing him back, and he's now going to be charged for human trafficking, of which there is not just a bitty, but there is a whole stack of paperwork. Just wait for him to come in there so they can say, hey, buddy, we're going to light you up. We're going to light you up. Yeah. You're going to get woofed. So, anyway, Abrego Garcia is going to be coming back, and it's not going to be fun for him because possibly he's going to be stuck in the Hooskow for a long time and then maybe kicked down to El Salvador if he survives. Scrolly. This I find to be, me being like the total, nut about like aerospace and space technology and obviously space flight, and there's a whole hell of a lot more up there than down here. That's definitely in my wheelhouse. Anyway, so this is beyond cool. And the thing about it is I also have kind of an in with the technology because one of my best friends is a PhD who's working currently in the technology of making a quiet, air quote, quiet supersonic jet. So trying to crack the sonic boom without being a big sonic boom, but a quieter sonic boom. Nobody really has a problem with that if it's quieter. Not like it's coming over and going pow and blowing your windows out. That's not good. So they're trying to avoid that. So that's technology they're currently working on. Why is it cool? And what's the, the thing that kind of dovetails nicely with this one? President Trump has now ordered a bold new chapter in aerospace innovation by removing the 1973 instituted supersonic restrictions over the United States. Completely badass. So Trump's about to usher in a new era of supersonic aviation. In an executive order issued on Friday, President Trump directed the Federal Aviation Administration to overturn a 1973 law preventing supersonic flight over land and to put in place a new regulatory framework for supersonic flight, including new noise standards. Story coming in from MSN.com, believe it or not. So the really kind of cool thing about it is the newer technology engines are so much quieter than they used to be. Like you look at like the footprint, and I've actually seen like, graphics describing like the previous to the current noise envelope. I mean, you look at modern turbofan engines, and they're bypass engines. They're not like true jets where they're just relying on the jet exhaust for thrust. They actually have like the big fan in the middle and the big fan in the front. So really what they are is they're kind of like enclosed propeller type of aerospace engines. So the other thing too is also you look at like stuff that's come down by the wayside. I mean, you look at like first generation, second generation, third generation, not until fairly recently, the nacelles or, the engine enclosures basically were straight on the back. If you look at the new ones, they have saw teeth. And the reason being is the saw teeth break up the airflow coming out of the back of the engine and disturb it and make it kind of more like tumbling around. So it's not just whistling out the back of the plane. It's getting squished and scrumbled and moved around and kind of squished into itself, and it gets quieter. So just by doing that simple little sawtooth thing has made the engines quieter. The technology involved to make the engine internally more quiet is just all kinds of airflow dynamics and all kinds of other stuff that is way outside my scope of things. So the technology involved is the engines have gotten quieter, the planes they're in have gotten quieter, and the noise restrictions have gotten way closer to the airports because you're not disturbing everybody. Case in point, there's an airport that I currently service all the time. It's about 20 some odd minutes from my house, and it's BWI, so Baltimore Washington International Airport. The thing about it is there's no aircraft taking off from there until about 5:30 in the morning because noise levels. So from 11 p.m. to 5-ish a.m., there's no flights. There's planes landing, but there's no planes taking off. And the reason being is the planes taking off just creates such a noise bubble. It's just too loud for everybody living in proximity to the houses and, closer to the airport, because a plane coming off the deck, you got to go from 0 miles an hour to 200 plus miles an hour, and then obviously up to 500 some odd miles an hour. But that's really, really noisy to go from start all the way up and then finally taking off. It's a lot of noise generation. for a plane to land, it basically comes in, buck 75, buck 80, whatever it is for their landing speed, hits the ground, quick squirt on the reversers, on the brakes, plane stopped, heading over to the terminal, everybody out. Way quieter to land a plane than to take a plane off. That's why they might have late arrivals, but they don't have early takeoffs. So that stuff coming down by the wayside and coming down the pike, all good things. Because the idea of taking a Concorde-style aircraft and jumping the ocean in a few hours is way better than getting into a plane and going, okay, we're now going to cross the ocean. It's going to take us 5.5 to 6 hours, depending on what the jet stream's doing. Yeah. And that's the thing, is you get a tailwind and you can get a plane that normally only does like, less than 500 miles an hour or up to like 550 miles an hour. And you can probably get it closer to like 600 miles an hour. You get the tailwind, you can really go fast. In fact, the 747, when it was flying more as a passenger jet, would fly 0.92, 0.95 of the speed of sound. It was literally one of the fastest commercial jets ever made for a big boy. And the thing about it is every once in a while they would catch a tailwind and it would go supersonic. So that plane literally would be flying over 700 miles an hour, closer to 800 miles an hour, catching the tailwind, catching a little, and it would get its flight time down 20, 30, even 40 minutes faster than what they truly intended, just because it was flying so much faster. So the idea of having a supersonic plane jumping oceans and going all around the planet, all good stuff. All good stuff. Because you're simply going to lose at least half your travel time, possibly more. Really fast jets are just cool. Scrolly. Supposedly, I don't know if you've seen this on and up, but the whole dust up going on in Los Angeles, they are now using less lethal munitions. They're not playing games. And I bounced off one of my friends in Australia. Potentially what it is the cops were pissed being held back for so long that now they finally have the opportunity to put hands on. They're being very, very enthusiastic. Scrolly. I did see something that was really kind of cool. And this is really the whole entirely different mindset of different cultures. So supposedly the Japanese have a riot. What do? They spray the rioters and the looters with an indelible blue dye so they can be identified and arrested later. Interesting. Now, I would take it a step further. I would say not blue dye. I would hit them down with an infrared or a UV style of dye where they don't see it on them and they're like, I got away with it. Then as soon as they walk out and they go to surrounding areas, they walk out into a spotlight that they can't see is going, and they walk underneath and they get got. Yeah, so that's literally how that one could work on that one. They basically walk out to a certain area and it doesn't work out for them because they get seen and they get identified. So they're walking around. Thanks, sound guy.
No zone.
I think he's awake. Yeah, they walked out of the no-no zone and they got seen.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
I say we take off and nuke the entire bitch from orbit.
Okay, I think we got it, sound guy. Appreciate it. Okay, yeah, thanks. What the hell are you doing, man? Stop.
Automatic defense procedures initiated.
No. Turn that off. Turn it off. Turn it off. What are you doing?
Automatic defense procedures initiated.
Oh, okay. That was average white band, pick up the pieces. Okay. Thanks. Auto destruct, pick up the pieces. All right, thanks. Got it. Wow. There's a video going around now. I cannot do it justice, And I can't play it for you because it's on, X/Twitter, and I'll take a copyright hit, or they'll put the whole we can't let it come out there, so they silence it. So anyway, the video is there's this Australian chick standing out there, and she's out there, like in the don't go areas, doesn't wear her jacket that says "I'm the press." She's just standing there with a microphone, and obviously the cops are like, move along, don't stand here, move along. You can't stay here anymore. It's a riot area. You got to get out of here. And she's like, yeah, I'm standing out here, this, that, and the other thing. Things are disintegrating, blah, 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 blah. And the cops finally like, all right, I've had enough of this chick. Pop! Nails her right in the, I think it was a leg, but it was really funny because he's like, this, that, and the other thing, and ah! He zapped her with a rubber bullet, and she rolled out in a hurry. And the camera guy's like, you just effing shot a reporter! I'm sure the cop was like, yes, extra points. I'm sure the other cops were like, dude, trying to high five and not get seen in public. But yeah, she was not identifying herself as a reporter. She was out there standing in the middle of the crowd, and they're like, oh
No. 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 Hell no. 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 I refuse. No.
I say we take off and nuke the entire
No-no zone.
for morbid.
yeah, they were not playing with her any longer. So anyway, so she got zapped, and I cannot begin to tell you how much. Stop, sound guys, stop. So that okay, that bull meow ended. Got it. Thank you, dude. Take an Alka-Seltzer or something, okay? Please. You'll feel better. Thank you. Scrolly. This guy has been identified, and I've actually found his name. So, yeah, the guy that was pitching bricks, rocks, whatever, trying to injure the federal officers, he's been identified. I don't know if there's a guy with the motorcycle helmet on or if there was another guy, but he's been identified, and I think it's like Hilarimo Reina or something like that. So they know who he is. They now just have to find him. He's now been stepped up from a person of interest to a actual, you're now on the wanted list of the federales, buddy. You're in a little bit more than a little bit of trouble, and it might come back to bite you in the butt. So that guy is now looking at potentially, well, not good times because, well, the cops are going to go, hey, buddy, we know who you are, and you...
Dickhead.
Yeah, okay, I don't know if it's ding-worthy, sound guy. I don't know if it's ding-worthy, all right? But that guy...
Douchebags.
I don't know where you're going with that one, sound guy. But yeah, the dog chomp was appropriate, okay?
My biscuits are burning!
I don't think they'd burn his biscuits when he's arrested, okay? Exactly. You're wrong area of...
Douchebags.
Stop! Jeez. Oh, man. So anyway, it's gotten very interesting now. The cops pretty much have, do the job. Don't basically just watch it from afar. And it's been stated in this X.com, so Twitter link that I got. So essentially what it is so the guy's been acting with impunity all these years in like Seattle in the 1990s, 2017 places like DC and California. This is not hard. It's not rocket science. Local authorities in the county state areas allowed Antifa, Black Bloc. So Black Bloc is another group of, screaming memeites. They allowed it to happen and operate. So they're in on it, part of the network. The name Kyle Rittenhouse only because local authorities stepped out of the way and would not endorse the law, or not enforce the law, and give mobs space to destroy. So basically what it is it's going to be interesting now because the cops have, carte blanche, as it were. Obviously with limitations, but they have carte blanche. Scrolly. I think Kevin Sorbo had an interesting piece. So the people who are here illegally are going to convince Trump to let them stay by burning down cities and attacking the police. Kevin Sorbo has some interesting points every once in a while. There's a picture I posted up, and there's this really nonplussed looking guy. He's got his goggles on, he's got his mask down around his neck, and he's gotten clipped. I mean, really, really clipped. Like rubber bullet to the face. Caught him in the nose, caught him in the cheek, like right, kind of like right there. And I blew the picture up and I looked at it in detail. And obviously the mask he had up tumbled the bullet. It tumbled the bullet. So the bullet didn't hit him point on. It actually was sideways as it was starting to tumble. And size, shape, and everything else, that looks 5.56 to me, man. So basically, the cop was just like, you know what? This butt's for you. Click. And dude got clocked. But I love the whole staring F you, I'm the tough guy expression, because if it didn't break a cheekbone, he's going to have a facial bruise, possibly a scar, for a while. So, good news on that one, buddy. Your face mask did not protect you. It might protect you from a virus, but it ain't going to protect you from a rubber bullet. Oh, man. The picture alone is just comic gold. Really, truly can't do anything but just laugh about that one. So I'm sure they'd be like, so you got this guy in the face. Like, well, but I was aiming for his chest and he ducked, sir. Yeah. That's the line I would use. I don't know if you guys saw this one or not. This is absolute comic gold. Not working out for them the way you thought it would. Yeah. So Gritty Thunderbritches, also known as Greta Thunberg, thought that she would go over and she would be a crap stirrer over in Gaza. Well, the Israelis don't really play that game at all. So she's now been deported from Israel following a attempted publicity stunt. Jerusalem, June 10. So literally just today on Reuters. Swedish campaigner Greta Thunberg. Campaigner. Is that really like an actual position? So, Swedish campaigner Greta Thunberg was deported from Israel on Tuesday, the Israeli Foreign Ministry said. The day after the Israeli Navy prevented her and a group of fellow pro-Palestinian activists from sailing to Gaza. Why would you fly into an active war zone? Why would you ride a boat into an active war zone? Why would you even go near an active war zone? Holy crap. So Thunberg, 22, not the brightest light on the tree, I'll tell you what, was put on a flight to France, the ministry said, adding she would travel on to Sweden from there. 3 other people had already been aboard the charity vessel, also agreed to immediate repatriation. 8 of the crew members were contesting their deportation order. Israeli rights group Adalah, so it's Adallah, so I guess it's Adalah, which advised them, said in a statement. So they're being held at a detention center ahead of a court hearing. It was not immediately clear when that would happen. The Israelis, I don't think they're in a huge rush to go, yeah, we want to take you guys to task. I don't think they're in a huge rush for that one. So Greta Thunberg walks in a plane in a location given as Tel Aviv, Israel, June 10, 2025 for the picture. Israeli forces boarded the charity vessel as it neared Gaza early on Monday, trying to break through Israel's long-standing naval blockade. Okay, that right there was enough to say, you're in deep guano, okay? You don't breach a naval blockade unless you really, truly have a set of nuts, and they didn't possess any. Not at all. Trying to break through Israel's long-standing naval blockade, which had gained international attention since Israel also cut off land access to the Strip in March. Israel now only allows limited supplies of food distributed by group it backs. And the reason being is as soon as they drop the food, Hamas guys go in there and start crap shooting at the guys, trying to get food to try to save their own people. So Hamas is definitely the terrorism element inside Gaza, not the people in that area of Gaza. It is Hamas that are the bad guys that are crap shooting their own people. Bad deal. That's from USA Today. Scrolly. This guy cracked me up. His name is at CAPT, so Captain Mandy32. So Captain Mandy32 on TikTok. He really, truly nails it. So this guy is retired Army medevac flight pilot. Retired Army medevac pilot. Yes, okay. So retired Army medevac pilot. This guy's seen some stuff, trust me. So Army pilots' views on active duty Marines being deployed to Los Angeles. And I've been referring to this as Battle Los Angeles since day one. Excuse me one second here. Just like that movie where the Marines are fighting the aliens with Aaron Eccleston. Yeah, it's Battle Los Angeles, trust me. So his views on this. Babe, they deployed Marines to L.A. Pilot, active duty Marines? Babe, yes. Pilot, that's a different animal than the National Guard. I've flown with every branch, a lot of nationalities, and Marines, to me, come with a different label. They are very very mission focused, tip of the spear, and they will carry out their mission. I would not want to be a person standing in front of an active duty Marine that has a job to do. I will tell you that. This guy absolutely nails it. Except that's kind of an Army thing to say tip of the spear. Marines don't say tip of the spear. That's an Army thing. But do appreciate the compliment. Scrolly, I could not do this one justice. This is absolutely like honesty. These guys really truly don't like to predispose themselves to. But there's a picture up on CNN, and it's approval of these immigration actions. Trump's admin program to deport those here illegally, 54% positive. Asians searching your town for those who think that they're here. Asians searching your town for they think they are here illegally, 51%. So basically above 50% for both these kind of couched questions where they're like, let's try to make it like obtuse enough that, these people really truly don't get it. Hey, if you think they're here illegally, should they be looking for them? Yes, they should. This guy's name is Harry Enton. What everyone on MSN is telling you that Trump is the problem, doesn't want you to see, law and order still reigns supreme. Quote, no matter what poll you look at, no matter which way you cut it, the American public is with the Republicans. The American public is with Donald Trump. And to a much greater extent than they are in term number one. So in other words, his first election. And it's not just on the broad issue of immigration, it's on the specifics as well, in which the American public is with Donald Trump and the Republicans. And that is why Donald Trump is eager to take on this fight. That's why he sent 700 Marines to L.A. That's why he mobilized the National Guard. That's why the California governor right now is completely losing his hit because he can't fix it. But there's more stories. Oh, this gets better. Newsom has taunted Trump's tough guy border czar to come after me. Arrest threat. So Newsom basically told Homan, come after me, tough guy. And Homan's like, okay. So California governor throws down the gauntlet to Tom Homan as he rages against the administration's intervention in the Los Angeles unrest, accusing the president of, quote, manufacturing crisis. I'm sorry, wasn't what you guys have been doing since like 1930s? Yeah, let's just call the Democrat Party what it is, okay? If there's any true group of racial buttholes on this face of the planet, it is the Democrat Party. Everything that they did, including the Civil War, was the Democrat Party. Be honest, okay? So that's pretty much that one in a nutshell, and that's just how it is today in the news. Oh, man. Well, I think it's time to roll out. Sound guy, if you could do that voodoo that you do so well, kind of, sort of, maybe. There we go. Anyway, let's see. Is there anything else going on here? Oh, no, that's it. Okay. All right, folks, so I'm going to thank you so much for hanging out with me on a Tuesday. Got many other things to do, but decided to hang out with me. I truly appreciate your kind attention. Catch you guys next week. Good stuff like that there. If you are here, you get a gold star for attendance, even if it's after the fact and you're not in the chat room currently, you still get a gold star. So thank you very much for all your kind attention. I'll catch you guys next week. Good stuff like that there. I will see you then. So, eat good, keep centering as always. You know you love it. I will catch you guys later. Have a good week, and I will see you later. Catch you guys. Ernest.